NFL Week 18. I'm here with Ron. We are early and late at the same time. We said we were going to start at 11:30. It's 11:37. That's my fault. This is an excellent time for me to not waste your time with asking you to subscribe and to sell you something, but to give you something extremely positive EV, and that is take care of your health. Make sure you have your health insurance. If you're a guy, make sure you're getting your colonoscopies. I'm having a fucking awful week, okay? Trust me, get a colonoscopy. Take care of yourself. Don't end up spending $1.5 million in insurance money, and make sure you're protected with insurance. So on that note, Ron, I just figured that is much better than wasting 5 minutes of intro time selling you something, asking you and begging you and pleading you to subscribe and to like and all this horse shit, because what's important is our health. And what's important also is week 18.
I'm not sure how to follow that up, and hopefully that you are, now that it is January, what is today? January 2nd, January 3rd? I don't even know what day it is already. And we're just early into the calendar. But yeah, hopefully you're overcoming that and on the football for another couple weeks or so. Then it's the playoffs. It's almost done. College only has a few more games, so week 18 is always intriguing. So here we go.
It's Friday, so we should break up we usually look back at week 17, and I don't think anybody gives a shit about week 17 at this point. It's in the rear of your mirror. But is there anything that you still glean as important from looking back?
No, we can move right on. There's so much stuff that's happened between last Sunday and now with the college and the NFL. I don't even remember what the NFL was like.
Yeah, it is overwhelming, isn't it? But you know what? I don't know what it is. The college is awfully strange. Everybody has fewer plays. It's you're able to weed out a lot of games just because they're such garbage. You can't even consider betting them.
Yeah, I mean, I realize I've been conservative on a lot of the plays. The step out play was Notre Dame. That was nice that was a nice one yesterday. But yeah, I've been noticeably conservative in the bowls because I just don't want to get blindsided by people opting out at the last minute. So we have two Saturday games, and they are of importance not just to Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and Baltimore, but they also affect Denver, not Miami. They do not affect Miami.
Yeah, I got a bone to pick with you on one of the Saturday games. I read your little thing that you shared with me, so I'm going to see if you know what I'm going to pick your bone about.
All right. Go for it.
First game, Baltimore, Cleveland. They announced more players out for Cleveland. It just keeps getting worse and worse. Cleveland's won 2 games in a row at Baltimore, I believe. So they have their number. They should make it a three-peat pretty easily. What do you think?
Well, I think, and I said this yesterday on a different show, is that since probably the beginning of October, Cleveland has been focused on 2025. They've added some draft picks. They're going to have 10 or more draft picks next year. They have some decisions to make, whether they keep the ungodly contract of Deshaun Watson, what they do at quarterback, but they're in full rebuild mode. They are really not thinking about this game. And this has been a long time since we've seen a 20-point spread in a game.
It's funny how people don't remember that we've had much higher NFL spreads. I remember Philadelphia, Jacksonville was like 27.5 or 28. Yeah. I think there's been a handful of other ones that have been 23, 24. So it's been a while, but not that long.
Yeah. Not much to say about this game. It would obviously be a shock if Baltimore lost the game. And then if Baltimore wins, They have the number 3 seed, and then Pittsburgh is playing to either stay out of Baltimore's way and playing for the 5th, 6th seed, but that's dependent on the Chargers as well. So there's a lot of moving parts.
I think the first half line in that game is double digits. I don't have the balls to touch. I'm not going to lay double digits in the first half line in the NFL. So,
no thanks.
No, thank you. And I think Baltimore just wants to get out of there unscathed. The next game, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. I read your write-up, and why don't you summarize your thoughts on this game?
Well, I mean, you have conflicting factors here. There's some situations that definitely favor Cincinnati. It would be probably better if Cincinnati wasn't sort of fighting for a playoff spot, because everybody knows that Cincinnati is fighting for a playoff spot. And because they're first up before Miami and the Jets and before the Denver game, they're going to try, and Joe Burrow's having a fantastic year. On the other hand, Pittsburgh has always played tough on week 18. So you have these two teams who know each other very well that are going to play a very tight, probably, physical game. I would slightly lean Cincinnati's way, but really my thinking on this game was to go Cincinnati early and Pittsburgh late, just to go ahead and get what I think will be a public reaction to when people feel, it's not that I feel this way, it's just that I think people will feel this way, that Pittsburgh is locked in now and they don't have anything to play for.
I don't know. It kind of felt like you felt that way too. For the life of me, everybody loves the Cincinnati. I don't know why. It's if there's one team that Pittsburgh does not want to play, it's Baltimore.
Absolutely.
And for people to be betting Cincinnati on the road after Pittsburgh just got through playing the teams that they just got done playing, one of the worst stretches of a schedule in the NFL for any team this entire season. Sure, they didn't look great, but look at who they had to play. And this is going to be a relief. I mean, to face a defense like the Bengals, now all of a sudden maybe we'll get to see that Pittsburgh offense again. Let's not forget the receiver was out for Pittsburgh until last game. So he missed several games. Pickens. There's I just think it's amusing that people feel so confident that Cincinnati is going to go into Pittsburgh and put themselves in the playoffs, or in a position to be in the playoffs, I'd rather say.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh has extra rest too, so that helps as well. There are a lot of factors that way. I'm just looking to try to middle this game.
You get teasers? Teasers is the best way to do that.
Nope, no teases.
So you
I have the money, a short price money line on Cincy, and then I'm hoping that we get to 3 on Pittsburgh. Will it get there? I don't know. How long it would get there and how soft it would be, I don't know. But my goal is a pick'em and a +3.
Well, if this was the Buffalo game, you'd be happy, because since we went on air, Buffalo moved up to 3.
Okay, talk about that game.
Who did Cincinnati play last week again?
Oh, you're asking me to think back from last week. Whoever they did, they beat. Audience will help us out.
Why don't I
Denver overtime. Denver. Thanks, Russell.
Yeah, I didn't see Cincinnati's offense, running roughshod over Denver most of the game.
Yeah, that was a strange game. I know that overtime was extremely strange.
Yeah, that was brutal. I mean, there was another example. It was a very odd week, because the way that my betting style is pivoted, it just saved my butt. I had Denver, but I didn't have a losing ticket. So same with Seattle, same with Green Bay, and the San Francisco Detroit game worked out beautifully. So very pleased with alternative ways of betting other than trying to pick the ping pong ending of these games, because it's getting preposterous with the way. Oh, in Atlanta, Washington, yeah. So there's like 5 games. Everything made the difference, and it's ridiculous how we'll sit here and work our asses off, analyze the stats, and we'll sit there and determine that, oh well, we if it's 4, we're going to take this team. If it's 4.5, we're going to take that team. And then we get down to the final 30 seconds. We get to overtime. We get to some ridiculousness that decides who covers the spread or not, and it's preposterous. It's absolutely preposterous.
So I have a brainstorming interruption for you right now, because I'm going to call this as one of the most atypical seasons we've had. There's no parity in the NFL right now. And I haven't seen it. It happens kind of once every 8 to 10 years. But you have 9 good to very good teams, and you have about 9 teams that are just garbage. I mean, at the bottom, I mean, when you have these spreads, not counting week 18, week 18 is different. But if you look at the results from weeks, let's say 12 through 17, and all these favorites are covering. And I realize that Cincinnati Denver was an anomaly because of the overtime cover, but in general, good teams are beating bad teams, and because there's no middle ground. And I think the strategy that works right now, just be careful next year if anybody is using this strategy, because there's probably going to be more of a middle ground. Some of the bad teams are going to get a little bit better. There's going to be new coaches, and some of the good teams are going to have some injuries, and they're going to fall back a little bit. This is just a really strange year with nobody in the middle.
Well, you're exactly right but the point that I'm making, you're 100% right. It's one of the most favorite ridden seasons ever in the history of the NFL. It's absolutely preposterous how many favorites are winning outright. But
yeah, and it's making me 50%, 49% the last 6 weeks. And I have had favorites with success, but I only play favorites. I generally play favorites when I'm going against a dead dog. And maybe I should have had more dead dogs involved because there's so many of them.
But it's still to the point of, look at the volume of games each week that are basically coming down to nonsense at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. Your handicap was a waste of time because a ref, a bounce, an OT, a coin toss, a this, a that are making one team cover or not, or the conduit to one team covering or not. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what's going to, and I think it's been leaning that way for years. I don't think that's just a this season type issue.
Well, it's interesting to explore that there's always 2 or 3 plays that decide a game, no matter what. A long pass and the guy drops the ball. A foot out of bounds at the first game of the year. A 1/8 of an inch, the guy was out of bounds, and it changed the game. And I think it was the very first game of the year like that, against Kansas City, when Kansas City got the win, and a series of kind of lucky wins for Cincinnati. A 4th and 13 pass that gets completed. Or like you said, there's a pass interference on the play of the game where there's face guarding. There was that in a college game, for example. So every season has these situations where you have 2 or 3 plays that you have to hit. You're not going to get all these long gainers. And when the guy gets open, he's got to catch the ball, or the quarterback has to loft the ball in the right spot.
Well, what's really amazing though is the plays that we see are more spectacular than they've ever been. These receivers are like vacuum cleaners, and some of these running backs have really done some impressive things. The tight ends that have entered the market, they just plow through people. And in a lot of ways, the game is better than ever. But in some ways, it's become a little bit of parody with the refereeing and some of the other things that happen. So that's so. If you recognize it, I think you can bet into that rather than get frustrated with it. Use it to your advantage.
There was another conversation going around the last 2 or 3 weeks about, these good running backs and why didn't the Giants keep Barkley and why didn't this and that and whatever. But the best advantage to having a good running back is if you have a good quarterback to pair them with. Because Barkley staying in New York Giants, he wasn't going to make the New York Giants a playoff team, not with that roster, not with that defense. But Barkley going to Philadelphia and a more complete team with Howie Roseman as GM makes Hurts a better quarterback. Aaron Jones comes over and makes his quarterback better, Sam Darnold. You got 2 running backs in Detroit that take the pressure off Jared Goff. You can go on, and there's a very good running back crop coming into the NFL this coming year. There's only going to be 3 or 4 elite tight ends, but we have 4 tight ends that are going to make a difference right away coming into the league. And wide receivers are more athletic than ever. It's becoming commonplace to see all these great one-handed catches.
It's unbelievable. It really is. How many quarterbacks do you think will go in the first round this year?
How many? I think we'll go 4. How many will I have first round grades? 2.
Okay. We're waiting for Theodore to join us. We didn't really recap last week all that much.
No, but there's some games are there any games? Let's talk. Well, I guess we'll save mini Detroit. It's the one game out of 16 that I think could be handicapped as if it was week 5, 6, or 7, as opposed to just week 18. So we'll save that. Aston Genty. The problem I had with Aston Genty is not him. He's a really good running back. It's that Boise State played the weakest set of run defense I've ever seen since I've been handicapping college football, which is a long, long time. There were just nothing. UNLV was the toughest defense that he faced. And to his credit, he ran about 6 yards per carry overall against UNLV. So he's a very good running back. But the Arizona State running back was always going to be a little bit higher rated in my eyes.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get involved in the Sanders sideshow, would you? I wouldn't want anything to do with it.
It's going to be tricky because he has some unique talent. There's no question about that. He does take a lot of sacks. We'll have to vet that out. Right now, I would have Ward first, Ward of Washington State / Miami first, Sanders second. And there really isn't a third. You could like Milroe as a first rounder, but he better go to the right team and right organization because he sure got stymied big time by a Michigan defense for 3/4 of that game.
So Gonzalez is out for the Patriots. That's why this line is slid up to 3.
Okay. Yeah, the question is how long are a lot of these quarterbacks playing? And part of it is guesswork and part of it is homework. My best guess is that if Josh Allen leads his team to a touchdown on the first drive, that's all you'll see of him. If he doesn't, then maybe you'll see him a second drive. But I would be very surprised if Josh Allen is in the game after the first quarter.
I'm just looking at first quarter lines are tough to find this week.
It's very disappointing because it makes me have to bottle up stuff because I haven't made all my play. I made 80% of my plays by Monday morning, but all the quarter lines and the first quarter not being up on some of these games, they're really taking a conservative approach.
Well, and then I was looking for, I assume props are up by now on players, but I was looking yesterday and I couldn't find them at the places I checked.
Yeah, if it follows last year's model, you're going to get props full props on about 4 games, and that's about it. You'll get full props most likely on Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. You'll get absolutely full props on Minnesota, Detroit. But otherwise, you're going to get partial props. You'll get some Denver props. You won't get any Kansas City props, for example. Stuff like that. So you got to weed through it there. Maybe the FanDuel and the DraftKings will take some chances, but the more conventional ones are not going to take chances.
I think they're going to try to sign Purdy. If Purdy asks for $50 million, they're going to laugh at him. He's not getting 50. He's going to be lucky to get 40, and they'll probably settle on 40 if Purdy's smart.
Yeah. Well, if you're the last pick in the NFL draft, and then a few years later you're in line for $40 million, I don't think you have a complaint.
What's this question here?
On props, Jennings needs 77.
It is kind of
in general, it's a good question.
There's a lot of people that need miscellaneous loose change to get to milestones, not necessarily contract milestones.
Right. Contract stuff, everybody knows that or whatever, but it's the people who want that 10th sack. They've got 9 or 9.5 and want that 10th sack. I think that's where there's still an edge because people aren't factoring that into the equation. As far as somebody like Jennings, Jennings of the 49ers. Okay. Yeah, they could absolutely go for it. You're looking for teams out of the playoffs in general to do this kind of stuff. Why not force feed Jennings against an Arizona defense that is pretty average in terms of what's going on? The big question is, how much do you trust your backup quarterback in this situation to get him the ball because you don't have Brock Purdy? So, it's worth it. You probably if there was a prop on Jennings, you probably see something closer to 60 because it wouldn't be known that he needs 1,000 yards. So you get a little bit better price. It's not bad to go for something like that.
I didn't know Purdy went to the same school as Dobbs. Did you know that, Ron?
I did not know that. I know Purdy went to Iowa State. I didn't remember where Joshua Dobbs did, unless it's the same high school.
So the Rams are not suiting up anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody
are you shocked? I mean, we knew how they would operate.
Yeah, but they actually have an incentive to win, don't they?
Well, they can get to the 6th seed, I think. It's either the 6th or the 7th seed. So they would either go to, well, they don't know who they would go to because those divisions are still up for grabs as well. Oh, no, the Rams are the 4th seed. I'm sorry. No, where are they? The Rams could be the 4th or the 3rd seed. That's right.
Yeah, they could be the 3rd seed if they win, right? Don't they just have to win?
Yeah, they just have to win. So, for example, but they won't know the results of Minnesota, Detroit. So if they end up with the 4th seed, they're going to play the loser of Minnesota, Detroit. But this is going to be at home. I mean, I wouldn't mind as a Ram. We're ahead of the games, handicapping week, first round of the playoffs. But if I'm the Rams, I don't mind seeing Minnesota. I might not even mind seeing Detroit because they've matched up with some really good games. So
yeah, for the Rams, for whatever reason, are going to fare, better than most teams, and it probably comes from Stafford's experience in the division for all those years, partially. Yeah. But those are tough games. I know that Detroit took care of them opening day, but it wasn't that easy, and it was a lucky win in the playoffs last year. So you can only beat a team so many times in a row unless you're the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, so the other seeds are Washington is fighting for the 6th or 7th seed and Green Bay for the 6th or 7th seed. And part of me thinks the Rams, they might match up better with Minnesota than any of those teams, to be honest.
Look who we got in here. We got Ted. How's it going, Ted?
Ted's on mute.
He's got no audio. So all right, well, we'll leave him. We'll leave him there until he gets some audio.
We don't hear Ted right now, so we'll just continue on until he decides he wants to. He's from the silent film era anyway.
Well, brush up on your sign language for us, and
yeah, touch your mute button. That's right. Did we miss any other questions in the chat right now?
no. The other playoff issue was the somebody brought up was the Chargers incentive. That comes from Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh wins, then then the Chargers don't have much to play for.
So if Pittsburgh wins, does that mean they're automatically what seed? I wrote it down, but it's been.
If you don't hear me now, I'm going home.
We hear you. Oh, Ted, give us the answer to this question. If Pittsburgh wins, where are the Chargers? Can they get what seed?
What do I have here with Pittsburgh? I have Pittsburgh clinches AFC North title and number 3 seed with a win and a Baltimore loss.
Okay, but what if Pittsburgh wins and Baltimore wins?
Chargers can't move up.
Yeah, Chargers can't move up.
Exactly.
The Chargers don't want to play ball. Jim and John Harbaugh do not want to play each other in the playoffs.
I don't think anybody wants to play any Harbaugh.
Yeah.
No, I think some guys want to play John, depending, especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but we were talking about running backs before you got here, and what Travis Henry does to Baltimore is maybe changes the equation as to how they would actually call plays in a playoff game, because they called one play to a running back last year against Kansas City in the first half, and they were dead. Yep,
exactly. And by the way, happy holidays to everybody out there. Thanks for your nice notes. And the last time I checked, it's over. Let's happy 2025, right?
It's over.
It is over in more ways than one.
We've got just latest news. Derek Carr's not going to play. Kamara's doubtful. Miller out.
Archie Manning is out.
So go ahead, Ted.
Good. I was just saying, so we're on week 18 here, and I know all of us and every person who's watching for sure knew that Sam Darnold was going to be a Pro Bowler when the season started. There was no doubt about it, right?
I don't even think he should be comeback player of the year.
Oh, come! Are you telling me you don't think he should be a Pro Bowler?
I think he should be a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, well, that's what he is.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he is. First teamer, baby. Pretty good stuff. You know, I got to interview him several times when he was at USC, and we all knew he had talent, and we've been talking about it since day one in the NFL. He's been with some real bad coaching situations, not just head coach, but offensive coordinator changes. Not all the full excuses. He makes bad decisions, and he still does occasionally. But this particular combination in Minnesota has cleaned him up and gotten the best out of him. And if he leaves, it's insane for both parties.
I was shocked because it seems like he's been around forever. And honestly, in my head, I was wondering how he was still in the league. Is he retiring? And then somebody pointed out he's only 28.
Exactly.
Jeez.
So, again, it's the perfect scenario, whether they franchise tag him next year or however they do it. It makes no sense to get rid of him. And have I seen any personality changes with Darnold? Oh, no, he's the exact same guy. He's the exact same guy. He's a little bit, a little introverted, a little shy, but but fun guy, really good sense of humor. Just somebody who loves to play football, and sometimes he's just too much of a gunslinger. Is all I could say. He'll just, I feel like throwing it over here where there's like 5 wrong jerseys, kind of stuff.
Mhm.
He doesn't do that anymore, though.
No, not this year. Only early in the year.
He'll have 1 or 2 games like that, like you said. But
Right.
one of his bad habits, I mentioned this yesterday, one of his bad habits was lifting his feet when he was throwing. And that seems to have been coached out of him.
Oh, lifting both feet at the same time?
Lifting his, he had a throwing motion that had the ball sail on him. And it was evident his senior year, not his senior year, but his last year in college. And it was incredibly evident with his time with the Jets.
Like off the back foot kind of a thing, slightly off balance.
And it just wasn't the kind of throwing motion where you could control the ball exactly where it needs to go.
Yeah,
and it caused a lot of interceptions early in his career. And it actually was true last year too, for the limited action he got that I saw him in I just wanted to see when or if he would get rid of that habit. And this year he has.
Yeah, what he was doing is he was imitating the Fred Flintstone bowling method, and it just did not translate for him.
Yeah, what I was picturing, what Rod said, was his feet were in the air, was he looked like Secretariat, all 4 hooves in the air at the same time. But Secretariat didn't have to throw a ball, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go down this list. We did Saturday already.
Oh, okay.
New Orleans, Tampon Bay.
All right. Well, there's nothing wrong with the way the Bucks. If they lose this game, I don't know what to say. Now, right now Baker seems to be everything right, and Mike Evans looks like he's all world times a million. Just throw him the ball and he will get it. No excuse to lose this game.
I don't see a betting angle on this at all. I don't think Olavi looks like he's not going to play either.
Right.
But if New Orleans literally could do absolutely nothing against the Giants, I don't know how you can expect them to do anything against Tampon. But
what's the latest line on this?
14.
It's up to 14 now.
Wow,
14 and a halves are up there.
Really? Wow. Well,
I mean, you have to pay a premium for teams that are trying versus teams that are not. But, the interim coach bump is so long gone in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, is there any incentive at all besides some of the kids' jobs to play in this game?
For New Orleans?
Yeah.
I mean, all of these guys are trying to build a resume. The last thing you want to do is show quit on the field. Because
no doubt about that.
Yeah. No, people. I mean, that players play. A lot of this other talk is whatever. But
no, but
other than Aaron Rodgers,
right? Well, I'm
everybody's going to be focused. No matter what.
And when I say what I said, it tends to get that direction if you fall behind big early, and then it's all of a sudden it's like, well, we're done anyway. That kind of a thing.
Yeah, and there's a steamroll effect, which supports your argument. The Washington Commanders were an incredible example of that last year at the trade deadline. Their 2 best pass rushers are traded. They never won another game. They were never even competitive the rest of the year. So you look for situations like that where you have a lame duck coach and so on and so forth. And New Orleans does fit some of that criteria.
Yeah. Tampa Bay clinches the NFC South with a win or a tie or an Atlanta loss or a tie. So they're where they need to be in this game. Mike Evans, 85 yards shy of his 11th straight 1,000-yard receiving season, and only one guy in history, that guy Rice, has done it more. It's an incredible number of consistency.
Well, he should get it. And he missed a lot of games this year too, so it's saying something.
Oh yeah, he's the go-to guy, no doubt about it.
Now, Atlanta's line is a little high. They play at the same time as Tampa.
Okay.
I think you have to be really cautious with Atlanta because what hope do they really have of New Orleans beating Tampa Bay? I think.
What is the latest line on that game, Atlanta?
8. Well, you've got teaser protections at 9, and you're as low as 7.5. But most of it's mainly 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Atlanta stays home if they lose,
Mm-hmm.
and they may stay home if they win. But there's no reason for them not to try 100%. They can only control.
Of course.
After last week, they can. This is
their season.
What they put themselves on. So you're going to get effort out of Carolina too. Bryce Young is fighting to be relevant. They have such a high. I mean, they could do the Josh Rosen. Remember, Josh Rosen was there for Arizona for 2 years, and they drafted Kyler Murray.
Yep.
And then
what happened with this? This Carolina had been coming to play week after week, and then last week they imploded. So what confidence do we have that they're going to actually show up for this final game if they imploded last week?
Go ahead.
A tip to prop bettors here. What happened to Carolina is they cannot stop the run. And I would be extremely surprised if Michael Penix put up 25 pass attempts in this game.
Okay, I was going to ask your thoughts, Ron, on the two quarterbacks in this game, which make for a really interesting first time them meeting. Penix doing what he's done for a couple of games, and where Bryce Young is and trying to get to, all of a sudden he's starting to look like, wait a minute, he might be better than he's looked so far. His height hasn't changed. I think his growing is over, so that's still always going to be an issue. But your thoughts on where he stands now?
Well, maybe he has the right coaches that are complimenting him, that are prodding him on, because he was so tentative his first year and a half.
Absolutely.
You can't, if you're a quarterback, you don't have to be a gunslinger, but you can't be this tentative in the NFL, because if you're a split second behind, forget it. Yeah. I like the tight end they drafted, Sanders, who unfortunately got hurt in the middle of the year, so he hasn't been back at it. And he needs that security blanket at tight end. He needs more help at wide receiver. He needs more help on the offensive line. His defense stinks, especially in the front seven, because they lost 5 starters in the offseason. It's unfortunate that some quarterbacks go to teams that are in rebuilding mode, and that's the problem.
Yep.
If you wanted me to compare him to Penix went to an Atlanta team that has one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. They've been top 10 for a few years. They stress the run much more than the pass, but they have Kyle Pitts if they ever want to use him at tight end. And they have Drake London at wide receiver. So they just need somebody to coax the offense out of them. Right. What you have is Michael Penix in a far better situation than Bryce Young.
Yeah, one of the things that I thought should be brought up is first-year head coach kind of a thing. Dave Canales, people are saying, he's not a head coach. We don't know. We have no idea yet. But let's give the guy a little, he's going through some growing pains and learning on the job. And they're playing pretty well the second half of the season. So, maybe he's coming along too. It takes time. It's not going to happen for week 1 for a new head coach.
So Ted, Cris, what's the common thread between Atlanta, Carolina, and New Orleans?
They're all from an absolutely awful division for years.
The common thread is all 3 of these teams have, for a decade, not been mentioned in the top 5 to 7 of any one draft.
Wow.
Atlanta hasn't traded down in the draft since we were born, which is a long time. New Orleans hasn't traded down in the draft since we were teenagers.
And that's the problem with that division, because mediocrity puts you in the middle, and you can't get the great draft pick. You're just sort of stuck in no man's land.
We saw the Rams restock with 25 draft picks over the last 2 years. We saw the Vikings restock with 25 draft picks. We saw the Commanders restock. We don't say that from Carolina, Atlanta, and New Orleans. And I know this isn't a Week 18 comment, but this is an organizational problem. Yeah, and they just happen to all be in the same division.
They're all between
and Tampa is laughing.
That's true. 6, 7, 8 wins is where they are almost every year, right?
Yeah, and Tampa is laughing because they could have a mediocre draft every year and still be the best drafting team in that division.
Yep, total no man's land.
Bucks I have a fighting chance. You know what? I honestly believe that the entire NFC has a chance for the Super Bowl. It would not
Absolutely.
shock me to see
Totally.
any of those teams somehow, some way make it through. There's a pathway for every team to make it to the game.
There's just some defensive issues that concern me on a couple of the teams. Washington for one, Tampa for another. You know, they're inconsistent. Who knows what they could do in one game when it really matters? But they have the quarterbacks to pull it off. If it's a close game, they could find a way to win, and that's, you know, just hang in there against a better team.
Well, Cris, you've been saying this all year, and we both have been saying this all year. There hasn't been a dominant team. When I look back at my ratings, I probably had 5 or 6 different teams number one in the NFL at any given time. I mean, at one point I had the Lions in week 7, 8, 9. They got there. Buffalo was there. Baltimore is there now as my number one team. I mean, there's been so much change. If there's not one dominant team, anything can happen in this playoff series.
Right. That makes it more fun.
We were. I brought this up on the Bet US show yesterday. I think that the NFC's kryptonite is Baltimore, but Baltimore can be neutralized in the AFC. So I think Baltimore has a tough pathway to the Super Bowl, but if they make it to the Super Bowl, I think they'd have to be favored pretty nicely, I think.
Yeah.
I think in that point, as long as their game plan involves Travis Henry, they would be a very tough out.
But I think Kansas City just neutralizes them every time. Everything goes through Kansas City.
And they'll be rested again. They'll basically have 2 weeks off.
Yeah. And looking at the NFC again with how wide open it is, a team that I think most people are not talking about as far as going far in the playoffs, but the way they're playing and Cris has had his thumbs down all season long on the Rams, and they just keep doing it. And they are better now than they've been all year. And you know what? Kudos to Les Snead, the GM, and Sean McVay, who's done his best coaching job of his very young career.
Well, they're healthy. I mean, that's half the battle.
But they're healthy with it's such a young squad, and and especially defensively. The first thing we said when we did our first show this year, what the hell are the Rams going to do without Aaron Donald? And it's not been a major factor.
There have been a couple of games. I don't know if either one of you have seen this, and Ted, you've been there. There's been a couple of games where Stafford has had turnover luck, where he's thrown an interception-worthy ball, and it hasn't happened.
Absolutely.
I've just seen him, and this happened at Georgia. I mean, this has happened throughout his career, to Georgia, Detroit, and so on. When he gets on, he looks like the best quarterback in football. But there are times that he'll make a throw, and you're going to say, what was he looking at? Right.
Yeah, but that's sort of the Stafford that I think Cris knows very well from Motown, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, that he's got that gunslinger, like I'm just in the mood to throw it somewhere every once, but not often. I mean, he's a really smart guy, and he does his home. I mean, he's so prepared when he's on the field. He really is. Maybe a good time now to play a couple of my cuts from the Rams, because I spoke with Byron Young briefly, the outside linebacker, and he talked about, since we just had the Pro Bowl announced yesterday, how about what's his name? Is it Curse, right?
He made the Pro Bowl.
Verse made the Pro Bowl, and he talked a little bit about what he means to the group. So let's hear from Byron Young.
No, he a dog. Just showing up when we need him, and just showing up every day. Coming to work, competing, and just making the big plays. Love that guy. He competes just like a pro, and he is a pro. You're surprised that you would think he's not. He's a rookie, but just the way he playing, he carry himself, and we need that energy every day.
Describe the confidence in this room since you guys won 9 of the last 11.
Very confident. I feel like we were still confident. We was 1-4. At the same time, like I said, adversity is just something that we respond well to. And, we took that bye week, took some time off away from football, and we came back swinging. So, adversity for sure.
There you go. So that's Byron
Right.
Young, and one of those things that he's been pretty consistent as well on the defensive side for the Rams, and they don't have a lot of holes right now. Maybe their DB needs to get a little deeper and stronger, but outside of that, they're doing everything right.
Yeah, they are.
And again, it's such a young group. Let's hear from another one of those Florida State guys that Ron like talking about. The two early picks in the draft, right? You had Cris and you had Braden Fisk, who I spoke with, and he was raving about the front office and how they put this young group together. Let's hear from him.
Just picking the right guys, and I think a big thing about when you come to the league, you have to have the right mentality. There's going to be talent everywhere, but having the right mentality to work. I mean, the same guys you just mentioned, the same guys that are in the building every day, putting in the work, staying late, getting in early. And I think that's just a testament to who we are, what we're going to become. And I think we're just getting closer and closer. I mean, I think we have a lot of fun. We're a young group, so we go out there, have fun. Practice is fun. Meetings are fun. We're just trying to continue to get better.
I've felt the confidence of this room grow as you won 9 of the last 11 after that start.
Exponentially, especially knowing where we were at the beginning of the season. You start off 1-4, and after the bye week, I don't know what it is now, maybe 8-2. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but I mean it's been pretty 9-2 now
since the bye.
Since the bye. I mean it's been really cool, man. I mean that's exactly what we talked about coming out of the bye, and so I think our confidence is, I wouldn't say at an all-time high, but we're getting there. We're working together and just growing, and I think a lot more to achieve together.
And that's coming up in the playoffs. So they win their division, and we still don't know who they're going to play yet, but they are going to play at home the first game, whatever that's worth. It is more of a home field advantage than it is for the Chargers, that's for sure. But they play Seattle, and I guess there's only something to play for Seattle for their jobs right now.
Well, yeah, Geno Smith, I'm torn with Geno Smith because he gets you to the promised land, but he's not allowed in the promised land.
He's not allowed to make any promises, is what
I've said this so many times. Seattle quarterback John Kitna, same kind of thing. The stats were incredible for 3.5 quarters, and then they would miss the playoffs. And Geno Smith is a decent quarterback, but he's not going to win the game on his own. And he has some really good receivers. Seattle continues to have a work in progress offensive line, and they have a running back who can't stay healthy.
This line just seems out of whack on Seattle and the Rams. But
it's crazy.
The Rams have to have enough players to keep this game within a touchdown, don't they?
I would think.
Yeah. I mean, my work is done on the game because I went really quickly, but because we knew the Rams were going to be in street clothes. But, Seattle does not have a shutdown defense. So I agree with you, Cris, because the backup quarterback for the Rams has talent. It's Jimmy
G. Exactly. It's a Jimmy G sighting for the first time this year.
So we got a little, and this is what happens. Lines flip a little too much. We see it in bowl games all the time, the overreaction. Now, sometimes it's not an overreaction when 25 players are in the portal, but in the NFL this week, there's been some overreactions.
Yeah. And you don't think Garoppolo wants to show what he's still about?
Of course he does. Yeah. And Blake Corum, the Michigan running back, is going to get the bulk of the carries.
Yeah, and since week 1, I got this thing with Blake where he should write the old USC guy, give me the damn ball, let me play. And he's playing now some. He's a little guy, but he's like a bowling ball out there,
He's fresh.
Oh, that's for sure. So, yeah, I mean, those guys they both have a lot to play for. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. What's the latest line there now on that one?
6.5, 7.
So you can get a 7 then, huh? I would take it.
Yeah,
absolutely take it.
It's flown out of in a completely different range now.
Yeah, and when has Seattle been more than like a 4-point favorite all season? Maybe, right?
Oh, they have been.
I know, but not often.
Opening game. Remember, it was the rookie head coach favored by 6. First game of the season.
That's a long time ago.
I know.
So anyway, so that'll be fun to be at that game, and I'll try and get some post-game sound for a little playoff preview stuff. To get some. Hopefully, they'll have some of the starters around the locker room, or they might already be home by the time I get down there.
Yeah,
we'll find out about that.
I feel like Buffalo, even with their stars out, should be able to win that game against New England. What do you think, Ron?
So this is one of these games. How do you use power ratings in these games? And it's a tough one because if this is played week 14 or whatever, I have Buffalo at minus 11.5 if this is played week 14 based on my power ratings. But it's played week 18 and Josh Allen is playing for less than a quarter, in my opinion. And Buffalo has a defense that is just not good enough in my mind. I will say this before we go back to this particular game, because New England's playing games too, and their coaching staff is on the hot seat. If Cincinnati gets into the playoffs and plays at Buffalo, there's only one way to go.
You talk about from the spread standpoint.
Yeah.
What would you make that line right now?
Cincinnati, Buffalo about 6.
Okay, you just take it and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll tell you what, if they get in there, I mean, again, they have to have everything go right. They got to win, and Miami and Denver have to lose. But bottom line is, I almost give the damn MVP to Joe Burrow just for showing up.
North Texas, Texas State. Tell them exactly all the players you're looking at, Chris.
What do you mean?
There's a backup running back for Texas State named Pare, P-A-R-E.
Okay.
He's going to have a really good day.
Oh, like the tennis player, Benoit Paire.
Not like him, because Benoit Paire I've seen live, and he quits in the middle of a match.
That is very true. I can't believe that guy's still playing. A whole different sport.
Yeah, I mean, he will literally quit in the middle of a match.
I know, I'm out of here.
Seattle really 6-1 on the road this season?
Jeez,
that's kind of a sneaky stat, huh? We've talked about
they could
how
just
they
win
have
games at home.
Yeah.
Okay, then they should be a 10-point favorite. Right? I mean, according to that.
Not bad. North Texas, Texas State might be competitive. You've got a quarterback that you don't know anything about, so you have to see what he's all about. But I do like Texas State's running back.
No, I don't follow Texas State. I don't even know where they are. I don't even know what city
they're in Texas.
I know that.
No, I know that, but thank you. What city?
It's
Texas
the
State.
northern.
I don't know, but the game is actually in Dallas. So you got
really?
2 teams from Texas playing in Dallas.
Is that the old Cotton Bowl?
I don't know what they call them these days.
No, it might be at the old Cotton Bowl in the stadium.
Yeah, but it's not the Cotton Bowl because these teams aren't playing in the Cotton Bowl.
No, not the Cotton Bowl, but it's the Cotton. It's the stadium's called the Cotton. And by the way, I heard a rumor that at halftime in Buffalo, Josh Allen will be going to his favorite hot dog place, and he'll be leaving the stadium. It's called Ted's. It's the best hot dogs in Buffalo, just so you know, in case you're in the neighborhood. Yeah, Ted's Hot Dogs. Great place in Buffalo. Not my hot dogs. Anyway.
Miami and the Jets. Who does Miami have to who the hell's going to make an effort in this game? I know Miami can make the playoffs, but what's going on with these Jets?
Miami has to make an effort. That's for sure. Look, it's Tyler Huntley. Is that the best game of his life he's off of, by the way? Ron, has he ever played better in the last game?
Well, I mean, he's a careful quarterback, so you have these, different passes that way. So he's okay. He should do fine in this game because I don't even know if Sauce Gardner is going to suit up. I don't even know. Yeah, who knows what the Jets are going to bring to the table? The metrics of situations favor the Jets, but boy, you've got to really close your eyes and whatever to. I mean, it's a weird matchup at this point.
Totally. Well, yeah. I mean, normally you always say Miami going up to the Jets at this time of the year is awful, but playing that team and in their state of mind and and their injuries and all kinds of stuff. I mean, Rodgers looks like he might play the first half and then get him out of there. No, Bertie, they're not going to my house. I have plenty for them to drink if they need it, but no thanks.
So,
Rodgers is going for
Las Vegas has been playing hard. I have them as the third most improving team over the last 5 weeks.
Okay.
For some reason, they just are, making the effort.
Well, O'Connell's also coming along too. His confidence is building, which is nice. I don't know Ron, do you have thoughts on what O'Connell, his ceiling is? I mean, he looks like a career backup to me, but he has been playing better.
He had a lot of reps at Purdue, so there's no problem from that standpoint. He's an extremely accurate quarterback. There's no problem from that point. He is a statue in the pocket, so there is a problem limited from that point. So his ceiling is, if he's behind an offensive line like Vegas, his ceiling is lower because Vegas can't protect him as well as some of the other teams in the NFL. And right now they lost Devontae Adams, obviously, in trade and stuff like that. The Raiders are a work in progress. And for O'Connell, a non-mobile quarterback, that could be an issue. Okay. When you look at Jalen Daniels at Washington, he could overcome some of the rebuilding issues at Washington because he brings an athleticism to the position.
Well, the good news on O'Connell is he'll never have a statue outside the building, but he can always be a statue when he's playing.
That's a good one.
But the question is this the last game for Antonio Pierce? And I would say it's better than 50-50 that he's gone.
I don't know why they would keep him.
Well, because they're playing well for him the last part of the season. And he's the question is he's a little bit not quite ready for prime time here.
He's just not ready for prime time. He's got some talent, but he's lacking some talent too.
Not a play on words, by the way. Maybe prime time is ready for prime time.
Oh,
I'm just saying. Who knows remember, Tom Brady's going to have some say-so on what's going on now because Al Davis's kid doesn't know what day it is. So we'll find out soon about that. Lincoln Pear is his name, not Benoit's illegitimate cousin.
So Mike McCarthy's contract runs out on the 14th here.
Yep. And might be
home against Washington, getting 6.5, 7.
Yep.
Washington wants to win this game. It's a better seed for them. Who wants to go to Philadelphia?
Yep. What's the spread now?
6.5, 7.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'd lay that amount because I don't trust Washington's D, but I think anytime you got my guy Jaden Daniels in there, he's just a spectacular rookie. Spectacular.
San Francisco, Arizona.
Yep. Well, we can hear from.
I think San Francisco can hang with them.
Well, they can, but I like Arizona because I like how hard they're playing and the way they lost. And you're going to hear from my guys in a minute, the ones that I spoke to, and their psyche going in right now. Why don't we play Ron's favorite no-name tight end, Trey McBride, who I got after the greatest game of his career. He had 16 targets in this game and almost a big touchdown, except for at the end it went off his helmet because it was just bad timing between him and his quarterback. Let's hear from. I got him after the game at the Rams. Unfortunate way to end the game on that ball off your helmet.
It's the exact look we're looking for. I just tried to make a play. Ball was on me quick. Just unfortunate events. It was exactly the look we were looking for, exactly what we needed, and sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way, and it seemed like that was the case today. It's a play we've repped a million times. It's a play I've caught a million times, and that's what's frustrating. It's my fault. I got to get open faster for Kyler. He threw a great ball, obviously, hit me right in the face, and I just got to make the play.
It's tough when a moment like that maybe weighs on you and overshadows your first touchdown of the season, but I got to imagine that one was a weight lifted a bit. What'd you see on that one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've had a ton of opportunities this year to score, and just glad we finally got in today. Honestly, doesn't really matter much to me. The win means more to me, and I wish I could have came through for our team at the end and won that game for us.
You get so many targets, though. It's going to make you feel good. It's like, okay, we want this guy around whenever it counts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just try to get open for Kyler, try to make plays, and if the ball finds me 10 times, it finds me 10 times. It's hard to process, man. It's this game happens so fast when you're out there, and obviously you hear the crowd go roaring. It just sucks. This is a divisional team. This is a team you want to beat, and to lose the way we lost today is unfortunate, and I just feel bad. Feel for these guys, feel for the coaches, and just an unfortunate way to lose.
I love this last response of the season, though, the way it happened.
Yeah, I mean, we're in every game. We have I think we're 5 to 10 plays away from being in the playoffs. We're right there. We're close games all the way around, and I'm excited to finish out this season strong. We got one more game together, and we're going to go and play San Francisco another divisional game, and I'm excited to get these guys back ready to go this week and finish the season on the right note.
Okay, there you go. So that's what I wanted you to hear. So you, at least from Trey McBride's standpoint, this is not a meaningless game. They're sick of losing the way they're losing, and the way too many close games, and that's a good attitude going into a last week meaningless game.
Well, all you need to do is come up with new ways of losing.
You tell them that.
I understand your point, Chris, about San Francisco could win the game, but now San Francisco's operating on a short week, and never did they ever expect that this would be their last game of the season. So it's a really weird situation for them. What is it? Joshua Dobbs is going to start.
Yeah.
So
the astronaut, baby.
Yeah. So he's probably going to be running for 50 yards or something like that. And maybe those lanes are open. Arizona doesn't have the greatest defense as we talked about. But I wouldn't be surprised if McBride finds the end zone again this week, because that's not a great San Francisco pass defense.
Yep. They're looking for him.
San Francisco's locked into that last place schedule for next year, so they can't do themselves any damage. It's what they want to do is, you don't want to sit there and lay down to Arizona at any point. So,
yeah. What's the last number on that game?
4.5.
Okay. Well, I'm not thrilled about the 4.5, but I do like Arizona in this game. Straight up, I gotta tell you.
Well, I mean, before the game kicked off, you could have got them straight up, pick them.
Really? Okay. Let's hear from Marvin Harrison Jr., who I had no reason to go to except for Ron said, hey, if you can get him one-on-one, get him. So I walked up to his locker, and he's wearing his towel, and he says, can I get dressed? I said, of course. I said, but I'm only audio. You don't have to worry about video. Anyway, he put his clothes on. He called me over. And as soon as I walked up, like 9 other people ran over. Oh, Marvin's talking. So I got most of what I needed. But anyway, let's hear from Marvin Harrison, who's not having the greatest year as a rookie. First of all, congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
Good for you, man. Your thoughts on the game itself, because it seems like just a different way to have an a negative ending there, huh?
Yeah, the ball didn't bounce our way, literally. And that's unfortunate. We're right there. I had full confidence we were going to win that game. And then we had the ball to, 6-7 yard line. So it's heartbreaking for sure. That's kind of been a theme of, Minnesota, Detroit, Buffalo. It's always comes to, we're right there. And we just haven't been able to do it. But I think we played a lot of good teams this year, and we've been right in the mix and took them to the wire. And Seattle twice. It's tough. It's tough. But I think we're right there, and that's kind of encouraging.
Been clicking?
Yeah, I think even though you're not getting the results you want, still being close is something that you can, kind of be proud of a little bit. Not like we're just getting blown out and we're not there. I think we are there as a team. We're just a couple plays away.
Two-parter, is there a such thing as a rookie wall for you? Because it doesn't look like it. When you get the opportunities, you get them, right?
Yeah, I don't believe in a rookie wall.
We've played more games, than ever, right now. So.
I'm enjoying it.
That's great.
I like playing football, so I'm good with it.
That's super. Last thing, how do you assess your rookie season overall?
Ups and downs, man. There's obviously probably more downs than ups, but I kept my head up the whole time, continued to work hard, and the results are going to be the results are going to be.
Thanks, man.
Of course,
Appreciate it.
absolutely no problem.
Okay, that's Marvin Harrison Jr., who real nice kid. I never met him before, obviously. I was impressed with his attitudes, real as positive as could be. Remember, that's right after another lousy, tough loss for the Cards. So he was positive, and he said, there's been a little timing issues with Murray throughout the year, and they're still trying to figure it out. And it's part of your rookie season. What are you going to do, right?
I mean, quietly, if you looked at his stats from about 4 or 5 years ago, you would say, oh, he had a nice year. He had several hundred yards. He catches around roughly 4 passes a game and stuff like that. But the way wide receivers are churning out yards these days, and rookie wide receivers, he hasn't had that 9-catch, 135-yard game and stuff like that. And he was eased into the lineup early. There were some training camp issues and contract stuff and so on. So, I mean, he's ready to assert himself. He's just hoping for the opportunity.
Right. Yeah, and I think part of that, though, is also, Murray is not the kind of guy. He's not your typical drop back passer. So
Right.
you never really know what you're going to get at him from game to game, or maybe even from half to half.
But that's a great point, because when you're working with a quarterback like Murray, it's completely different than a Tom Brady type where you have to be in a spot. You have to keep working as a wide receiver.
Yep.
In order to find different spots.
Yeah, so I think they've had an interesting time just finding the right chemistry and being a rookie team with, a new coaching staff and all that kind of. I mean, everything comes into play there,
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the end of my interviews today.
Let's talk Minnesota, Detroit. Let's
you mean there's actually a good game this week? That means a ton. The greatest
final game
teams
of the year. Chris,
Yes.
You've got the floor. What do you see?
Yeah, greatest 2 teams in the history of the game there, Chris.
Well, it is a shame a 14-2 team will be a 14-win team will be a wild card team for the first time ever.
I'm going to lose a lot of sleep over that.
Interesting tidbit. Flores, since he's been the defensive coordinator,
Yes.
an opposing team has scored 30 points only 6 times, and 3 of those times has been the Detroit Lions. So,
Okay.
another interesting tidbit: Ben Johnson was fired by Flores.
Really? Is Ben still working for the Lions? Isn't he a head coach somewhere yet?
So that was that kind of came up this week and kind of joking around sort of thing. So I guess Ben Johnson never really appreciated being canned like that. So I expect something interesting with some interesting plays, to say the least, this week. He's got some more cards up his sleeve, I think.
Yeah, I think Ben is a perfect example, though, of I don't care how good of a coach you are as a coordinator. If you don't have the right guys, it doesn't matter. And I don't think Ben had necessarily great guys when he was there with Brian Flores, right?
Well, I don't think he ever had. They never worked together. I don't think. I'm not sure.
Well, that I don't know. I'm not sure either. But whatever team, this is the greatest scenario of all time, and we don't know if he's going to be a great head coach or not. He's taking advantage of what he's done, and you hope that you can, move up the ladder like a lot of guys. Some of them make it, and a lot of them don't.
I think it's the first one to 30. I think over 56 is probably good. The final score will be 30-27, Detroit.
Okay. Oh, he's got the winner too. I love that. I wonder why he picked Detroit. I never would have guessed that one.
Mm-hmm.
What's the spread right now?
2.5 to 3. It's kind of fallen. It was mainly 3s yesterday.
Yep.
And there are still some flat 3s, but there
Really?
are more 2.5s popping up.
Is that right where you guys made the line?
No.
Okay, what did you make it?
Where did you make the line, Ron?
I would have made it 3 minus 120 or 3.5 minus 105, something like that.
Okay.
Depends how you deal with a Sunday night game, and I generally give an extra half point for home field advantage on a Sunday night.
Well, I mentioned this yesterday. I don't know that I mentioned it to you, Ron. Anzalone has been practicing.
Okay.
He a statistic came out which was pretty unusual. It's sort of like a J.J. Watt type of stat. When he's in the lineup, the opposing quarterback has the rating of the opposing quarterbacks are the lowest allowed. When he's out of the lineup, the ratings for the opposing quarterbacks allowed are the highest in the league. So from one extreme to another, based on whether he's been in or out of the lineup. And he may be in the lineup this week.
Very good.
So I have one question for you, Cris, and I've covered it elsewhere, but I think I covered it with you too. When the Lions are first and goal from the 3-yard line, how much are they going to miss Montgomery? Because Gibbs had a lot of trouble going between the tackles from the 3-yard line.
Depends if it's 4th down or not, Ron. You know that.
Well, I said first and goal.
Oh, first and goal. Okay.
Well, they resolved that problem by just handing it off to him on the 20 so he can run it in from the 20.
Yeah,
That's true.
That he needs space, and he's a very capable pass catcher. So actually, he's more valuable in the pass game at the 10-yard line than he is in the run game at the 3-yard line. So I think this is where, and you asked this a couple weeks ago, this is where Laporta has to be featured in the red zone.
Yep.
Yeah, they have to find him useful in those goal line situations, one way or another. Yeah. I think they're going to be wearing their black uniforms again. We already know that the crowd is going to be a little loud. Yes. And Minnesota just loves to play these one-score games. And I think if you want to play a one-score game against the Lions, you're really flirting with disaster.
I'm just wondering, why isn't Cris flying to Detroit to go to that game? Wouldn't you love to be at that game?
Yeah, I would like to be at that game.
That's what I figured. I mean, that would be a fun game to be at, wouldn't it?
It would be.
There's still time. There's still time.
Yes, the flight's leaving every 20 minutes.
I wish. What do you guys think happens in the game?
Well, first of all, let's talk about the most important factor that nobody anywhere ever mentions, okay? You got the new offensive sort of coordinator, Teddy Bridgewater, baby. He's on the sidelines. You never know what he's going to bring to this team. He might even play in the second half.
You know, a lot of people don't realize, if you're not a Detroit fan, Teddy Bridgewater was very important to the team. It was, I think I mentioned it in the first show this year, Ron, that him being gone was not good. He was really, really helpful. He had leadership type aspects. He was very helpful with some of the young kids. They hated to see him go, and he went and decided to become a coach and win the state championship, and said, "Oh, well, what else can I do? I'll go play, see if I can make it to a Super Bowl as a backup."
I love that, though. That's an unusually great story.
Yeah.
So is this insurance in case Ben Johnson leaves that he might actually assume an offensive coordinator role there?
Maybe. Who knows?
I don't think it's that necessarily, but they say that Hooker was coming along fine, but I would much rather have a Teddy Bridgewater backing up Goff, just in case.
Well, I mean, let's face it; it's all insurance anyway, and you hope that you never see them, even a picture of them on the sideline. But he hasn't played in a long time. But he knows what to do, and he is like a coach on the field or on the sideline for them now, and maybe he does have a future as a coach at that level. Who knows? Great story. Yeah, I love it. And what about the curse though? Bobby Lane, baby. I sent you the curse of Bobby Lane.
They got to the playoffs. They were within a quarter of going to the Super Bowl.
You got to win it all, though. You got to win it all.
That's a lot of pressure on a team.
A lot of pressure on the late Bobby Lane, who I know I'm the only one here who's ever met him. That's a million years ago. Anyway.
I haven't met him yet either.
Yeah, keep saying yet. He's gone. It's over. Anyway, no, that's going to be one hell of a fun game. And a standalone is a beauty, isn't it? It's like just end the season with these two teams. It's just a great way to finish the year.
No A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, or Hurts.
Okay.
Pickett listed questionable.
Yeah.
Craig Reynolds, questionable.
Any late news on Chase Brown for Cincy?
I don't think he's going to play. The pro football doc said that those high ankle sprains are really tough.
Oh, it is. I didn't know it was high ankle. Oh no, high ankle. He's not going to play. If it's just low ankle, then there's a chance. But how about the way he got hurt?
I know.
You're sliding to avoid a touchdown late, and you hurt your damn ankle. That's unbelievable.
That is awful.
Let's talk about.
All right, that's all I got, guys. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, lots of maneuvering for week 18, lots of things going on. And next week, Chris, are we back on Tuesday?
I think the Chiefs probably cover easily. What do you think?
The Chiefs this week?
I have no idea what the
or next week. He thinks the Chiefs will cover next week. I think the Chiefs will pitch a shutout
this week.
I wish I had an opinion on the Chiefs. But I don't know who's playing. I know who's not playing.
Denver.
No. For them, for Kansas City.
You have to be aware that Denver might clinch a playoff spot before they even play.
Right, exactly.
I think Lenny Dawson might be the backup this week. I don't know what to say. Guys, have a great start to your new year. Thanks to everybody on their comments, and hope to have some decent sound for you for Rams preview stuff. I know I won't be in the Seattle locker room this weekend. There's zero reason to be there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Later.
Thanks,
Take
everybody.
care.
See you next week.
Happy.